The inflammation that I saw in the mouth correlated so much to people's diet.
Karin, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I'll give you a little backstory first. I became a hygienist in the early 90s, dental hygienist, and I noticed that I had chronic fatigue, very mild in the mid 90s. And from the mid 90s till today, it sort of increased and escalated over time. Um, and the one thing that I noticed as a hygienist was the inflammation that I saw in the mouth correlated so much to people's diet for sure, and their even supplements. I saw some incredible supplement experiences, but my favorite story I want to tell is there was a gentleman named John that was probably 150 pounds overweight. And he was someone that did not take care of his mouth. And myself and another hygienist in the same office would trade off every 6 months so we didn't have to see him, because honestly, he had a very gross mouth. And gross for us hygienists, we don't care about blood. We love tartar, but we don't like food stuff. So, he was one of those, and he didn't take care of his teeth. He didn't care. So 2 years into it, he was diagnosed with diabetes, and he towed the line, cut his carbs, and did not change his home care routine at all. And both of us saw him within this period of time, and we were blown away with how healthy his mouth got just from decreasing carbs. Now, you think that would have been a big old bell in my head, but oh no, that's just for morbidly obese diabetic people, right? So as time went on, I've done many different diets, food ways of eating. One of the things I just, except for one time, I can't do cutting food down and not having satiety. I have been wise enough with myself to know that whatever I do, and if I'm going to do it for the rest of my life, it has to be sustainable. So except for the mid-aughts, I did the HCG diet. You probably don't remember that because it was really kind of a girl thing. It was 500 calories a day, no fat. Like, they didn't even want you to use oil on your skin or lotion on your skin. And yeah, it worked. I actually did injections, and I will say honestly that I think that's really when my gut was really harmed, was doing that stuff. So from that point on, it was paleo and nourishing traditions, which is just, eating good whole foods. Became gluten-free in 2008, but still had some of those grains soaked, but still grains. Eating well, if you look at it from that perspective, the paleo nourishing traditions, but I still also had alcohol when I could. I was very disciplined about it. I didn't ever drink on a work night, and I didn't, I only drank a couple nights in the week, if that, but loved my microbrews and good wine. And so, through the years, that was the one thing I couldn't give up. I have always been this strange kind of person that since I was 20, I've given up sugar, including fruits, at least 4 or 5 months out of the year. Like, it'll go 6 weeks and then I'll get back on to the addiction, and then 6 weeks. I've done that for years. So I always thought that was, well, that's good, right? But it never changed anything. I mean, I know it helped, but it never really externally changed anything. So come 2017, I started having my autoimmune experiences along with my chronic fatigue, and noticing that every time I drank, all the things that I did to try not to ever have after effects of the drinking after effects were getting worse and worse. And autoimmune things started showing up probably 2016, but I didn't know that. And my only good exercise regime I've ever done was from 2014 to 2017. I took Pilates 3 days a week, even being chronically fatigued and working. And I did that. And then all of a sudden, my back went out. And when my back went out, then all of the other things popped up. So I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis because I have psoriasis, had arthritis, but honestly, I labels I think are, medical diagnostic labels are they're just a sort of kind of, because my arthritis pain is really more fibro like, because it'll like my neck is super stiff now. This is as far as I could go, but in 2 weeks it could be fine and I could be moving it all over, and then it'll be more in my shoulder. Never goes away 100%, but it moves around. And so that's still a thing. Um, but I knew I had to do something, and I'm an incredible. I looked at alternative health for years. One of my best friends is a naturopath. I look at everything. I look at the science. I look at hard drugs too. So I've never gotten on a biologic because I never wanted. I know I'm sensitive enough that it would probably cause me more harm than good. Um, so let's see. So that's 2017. I struggled, and then we all know 2020 hit, and that's when all all of a sudden I knew I couldn't do this anymore. So I retired in June. I should also put in, once this started happening, one of the things I did in 2018 was I got my left hand couldn't close. It was like it was super inflamed, and you started seeing I'm going to put it up here. Sorry, camera stuff. But I couldn't close my hand, and my knuckles were swelling like arthritis. So I got a stem cell, mesenchymal stem cell IV, and over 4 or 5 months, that hand. I mean, here I come back again. That hand is totally normal. So I did it again. I did some stem cells again in 2019, thinking, and it did a little bit of something, but not much. And then 2021, again, still not a carnivore, did a bigger IV, went to Mexico and got it, and didn't do much. And my right hand, come 2020, this is what happened to my right hand. Let's see there. So that, and I can't open it any more than that. So that's what said, okay, I'm done. So come 2022 or into 2021, my son tells me that my first grandchild is on the way. And I have this incentive. I've got to get better. I want to chase this child around. She may be my only one. And I want to get every bit I can out of this. So February 2022, my husband and I were definitely decided, okay, we're going to go real clean, just veggies, no grains, basically keto. Hadn't done keto before because of the counting macros and stuff, but we were going to do that. And I just happened to see Michaela Peterson on her TEDx, and I remember saying to my husband, "Oh, isn't that crazy?" But not deep inside, I wanted to do it. Oh, we couldn't do that. Deep inside, I wanted to do it. And then 2 days later, I listened to a few more carnivore things. I said, "Can we just do it for 30 days? Would you?" Because my husband cooks. My husband's a dude, so I really, really needed 30 days of his compliance. And he said, "Okay." So we took 2 weeks to transition, only because we didn't want to ruin any of the veggies in there. We wanted to eat up all the things that we still had, not because we're afraid to jump into it, but then we jumped full into it. And I have to say, the most amazing thing to us, like the first thing that popped right out of us, and I noticed a lot of people don't mention this anymore. They did in the beginning when I first started listening, was the satiety. Wow, I don't need to eat as much. Really? I mean, that's always been the bane of my eating existence, is how often I want to eat. My husband too used to go by the almond thing and eat up all, several times a day. And I had big meals. And anyway, it was just beautiful how, oh, I could actually eat once a day. I did also, in the very beginning, we fasted 48 hours once a week. We did that for probably about 3 months. And so there is no doubt in my mind that carnivore is the way to eat. However, my journey has told me that it's not the end be and end all for everybody. I think I give myself 60% better. And there's no way I want to go back to eating the way I used to eat. I mean, I actually kind of look at different things, like a lot of people, including I've heard you say, you, you have to worry about being tempted at times. I'm not tempted because I'm afraid of what it will make me feel like. I actually have a lot of fear around that. So I don't cheat except for within the carnivore cheat, what's in that carnivore lane of cheating. um and I am able to eat a little bit of vegetables. I don't do it much on purpose, I don't, but I actually kind of like vegetables. There's, like, asparagus and Brussels sprouts, so I they're a treat, and I eat them once in a while, and I don't have any negative side effects. So I've gone within the carnivore lane. I've gone beef only, beef and salt only for a month. Didn't notice anything. I've done non-dairy, although I did eat. I do have decaf, organic decaf Swiss processed coffee, and I was doing ghee in that. Well, I figured out that ghee wasn't my body didn't like ghee either. So I stopped that and have gone dairy free. And I do see that it's more of a skin thing. It's not my psoriasis. That doesn't go away, but just in my face and um, a little bit digestively, I notice that I do better if I stay off the dairy. And I've sort of made a commitment to myself that I'm not 100%, like, for instance, will travel. I will eat dairy because I'll eat it when I feel like I have to, but I don't eat dairy, most of the time. So, it wasn't until the end of 2022 that I heard a video that Judy Cho did. And she talked about why some people who do carnivore still feel like they haven't got it all, and that they just are told to carnivore harder. And that's the problem. And she said that's not necessarily the truth. If you have, she lists her symptoms, if you have, including chronic fatigue and pain, you might have chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is called CIRS. And so I, looked into that and had to scrape and borrow some money to take the test. And I came out positive. But like so many things, there's a spectrum. And so I'm on the lower spectrum, which is good. The first thing that they recommend in the protocol that people have for CIRS is to get out of your environment and find a non-moldy, toxic environment. Well, that isn't going to happen. We've done the best we can in cleaning up things, but at least I should say it's not going to happen now. I took binders. I went and saw a couple of alternative doctors because I know a regular MD doesn't know what CIRS is. And I haven't really noticed anything. And I have traveled to Arizona and Las Vegas to dry spaces that I'm sure are not moldy, and actually haven't felt better. So I'm dubious about, is this the thing that's bothering me? I'm not saying it's not. I'm just not sure that I'm just still in the middle. So once I got that diagnosis, I worked on it. I actually have done red light therapy. I have a little red light that I can put on my body anywhere. I went and got IV ozone, thinking that would help. I did it like 5 times. The first one, I felt really good. And then after that, it didn't do anything. So I don't take any pain medication other than I take an Aleve at night so I can get good sleep. I did one more stem cell inject or IV this last November because my mom wanted to do it and she wanted to gift that to me. So I did do another one, and I haven't felt any positive changes from it. It can happen later maybe, but I'm thinking no, because I felt from the first one that worked, I felt it starting and then getting better and better and better. And I haven't felt anything. I'm sure no matter what, when you do it, you get some good things going on inside. It might go to cancer or whatever, but yeah. Um, so um, my latest thing is I follow Anita from Ketogenic Woman, and she just started doing the special yogurt that Dr. William Davis recommends from Supergut. And I don't know if you know about that, Dave. It's really pretty amazing stuff. I wonder if in Japan, do they have half and half? No?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, okay. So you use, or you can use cream, you can use milk, but it's better if you have a higher fat. And they don't recommend cream because it's with half and half, you're getting it's almost cream cheese type consistency. But the probiotics that he recommends to put in there are probiotics. L-reuteri specifically are missing from 95% of our Western human race's guts. And I've known that what's going on with me is stemming from my microbiome. It may not be the only thing, but it is. So I want to say this to your listeners. Today is day 7. So you eat a quarter cup, you make it. It's not hard. There's Indigo Neely has a wonderful how-to on her channel, how to do it, how to make it. It's not hard. And it's delicious. And I decided that I would do the dairy route because it's easier. And I figured a little bit, well, I have not had any negative dairy effects. My skin hasn't gotten drier. And every day my pain has gone down like 5%. So I will say I'll go to reach for something or do something that normally I'm ready for the pain. And it's like, oh, that's better. It's not significant every day, but it's only been 7 days. So I'm looking forward to, I think he says 4 weeks, but he's not a carnivore. He actually gives you in his book, he gives you how to do it, his diet. He wrote Wheat Belly, so he is anti-grain. So, and sugar. So that's good. And it's a good place for people to start, but we carnivores are already there, which is nice. So, yes, that's my latest big one, but it feels like I've tried it all. And I know I haven't, but let's see, no dairy, definitely done a lot. Beef and salt, I could only do for 30 days just because it's hard because my husband's the cook and he's so variety oriented. I could just eat a ribeye every night, Dave. It would be so easy. Just eat steak every night. But he gets bored and he wants something different in the carnivore world. And since he's cooking, I capitulate and I like what he's a good cook. Even as a carnivore, he's a really good cook. So, but the only thing is I've had to put my foot down around dairy. He loves making those cream sauces and once in a while, but not very often. I can't do it. I did want to mention one other thing that after I agreed to come on here, I just watched one of Michaela Peterson's latest videos, and she had a doctor, let's say I wrote his name, Adil Khan, on her episode 198. And he is a regenerative medicine doctor. So he was trained in Canada. And now I think he has 2 clinics, one in Mexico and one in Dubai. And I can't do it justice to describe it, but he talks about all of the things that they do to help people get their body back regenerating. And he was talking to Michaela, and I think we all know her story at least a little bit, how much she's like so lion diet. And he's telling her what he's going to do with her to make her better and why. And the only downside of listening to that is you got to have $25,000 or $30,000 to do it. That sucks. But I'm, like some of your previous ladies that have been on here, I am of the belief that you can manifest things. I have no idea how, but I've just put it out there that maybe that's my next step and something will happen to where I can afford to do that. And go to Mexico. I'm totally, thoroughly convinced after listening to him that I would love to do that. I've had that one really good experience with stem cells, and the other 2 times were, they didn't do much for my arthritis. For the second time, I didn't eat carnivore, and this last time, what I'm feeling is the reason why this one didn't help as much, because the FDA has changed their what they allow in terms of stem cells, and this particular doctor was even talking about that. Like the US is not a good place to get stem cells anymore because they've cut it back. No money, no money to make doing that. So while it's frustrating to hear, oh gosh, what do you mean I might have to go spend a bunch of money? I know there could be one person out there that's listening that could or would be able to do that. And I highly recommend you go and listen to Michaela's episode, because it was very intriguing and hopeful. Even though I can't do it right now, it still made me feel hopeful.
You mentioned when you were doing I'm sorry, I missed the proper name of the thing, but when you're using half and half to make the
yogurt, he calls
yogurt.
it SIBO yogurt, but which stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. In his book. So Supergut is the name of his book, and I highly recommend flipping through that. It's free in the library here in the US. You can get it in the library. It's $15 on Amazon for the paperback. I actually have done both. I've got the free version, and then I thought, oh heck, $15, I'm going to just get the book. But yeah, so he gives you the guide of where to buy the probiotics. That's the big thing he underscores, is you have to have the right strain. And he said there's only one company in Sweden. I think there might be some more companies now, but at that point there was one company in Sweden that had the right strain, and then Dr. Mercola had the right strain of another. I made the one with 3. You can just make it with the L-reuteri, and I just picked the 3 just because of where I'm at. I thought it had like the other 2 probiotics that he recommended also had really good things. And I thought I'll do that first. And then I might probably, after I do this for about 6 weeks, I'm going to probably just go to L-reuteri, which is the name of it, Lactobacillus reuteri. I'll probably just go to that and see, because obviously when you put them together, you're getting less of, L-reuteri than you would, but you have to put it at 100 degrees for Fahrenheit for 36 hours. So that's the big one, but it's super easy here. Again, so if you had cream and you could do half cream and half milk, you could do that, or you can do milk. You'll just get watery yogurt. It's just, it tastes amazing. It tastes like sour cream cheese. It doesn't taste like yogurt.
And you mentioned that, like, when you have that, the pain is getting better. That's that pain that's related to arthritis.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed it diminish. If I gave it a full percentage over the week, I would say 15 or 20%, maybe 15%. That's probably overstating. But it feels good to not to have less. So I'm like, oh, yeah. So I'm impressed. I know Anita says her digestive situation is better. Some people have reported better sleep. I would say my sleep is a bit better, but I haven't noticed like a big change in my sleep. I tend to wake up early at times and then not be able to get back to sleep for a few hours and then go back to sleep later, which I don't like doing that. I can do it. Luckily, I'm retired. So, but most people want to get up and have some feeling of being part of the day, right? So yeah, there are other things that Dr. Davis purports, but mostly it's just, getting your microbiome back into gear. And I imagine everybody has different effects. On the Facebook forum that I'm on several actually carnivore forums, but on the ketogenic woman forum, there's a lot of women on there that are doing this yogurt and reporting good benefits. So it's just, I think even if one is dairy intolerant or sensitive, but it's not bad, if you have someone you can make it for too, and then take a little bit. My daughter-in-law is intolerant, and I've been asking her to take like a teaspoon, and she hasn't had a negative. She's afraid to have more, but she says, she's Polish, and she says, I'm lactose intolerant. I said, okay, well, there's no lactose in this. Really? No, yeah. So double it. It's okay. It's okay. Try it. And if you have bad effects, stop. But yeah, I think she'll be able to do it if she. Yeah. But, there's a coconut milk version too. It's more work. You have to pasteurize the coconut milk. And yeah, I just didn't want to do that.
So, you have, just to summarize so far, you've had some improvements from being on carnivore, but because of the SIRS, a lot of the issues are still hanging around, and having the yogurt, and potentially, if you can get to the point where you can go and see Dr. Adil Khan, then maybe you can get all the way.
Yeah. And if I don't, I've already made my own vow to myself. Yes, it does matter. I want to be better, but I will not quit carnivore because it's not doing everything. There's no way. It's like it's absolutely for sure that my life is better in so many ways. And I forgot to say, that's the least thing. It's like I've lost 50 pounds, but I would trade. I mean this. I would trade. If everything else could be better and I still had 50 pounds on, I'd trade. I would rather have my energy back. And, I don't want to be 50 more pounds, but it's easy for me to say that weight loss used to be my main focus. And now I realize, oh gosh, you've got nothing if don't have great health. It's like, who cares what you look like if you can't run around? And so, yeah.
I noticed with myself when I'm being interviewed, and also the interviews I do with people, often, like you've just done there, the weight loss gets kind of left off, and it's like, oh yeah, and I've got to tell you about the weight loss, because it becomes such a minor aspect.
It's so true. And it is probably one of the biggest reasons why I started. I know it wasn't the only, but I was looking really forward to it. And I definitely got excited when the weight started coming off. And the funny thing is that I think both my husband and I were like on this same trajectory. We lost about 35 pounds, and then that was it. Felt better, for that. But, I was like, okay. And then when I stopped thinking about it, literally completely, that's when I've lost 15 more pounds. I was like, okay, it's like, I just needed to not even think about it. And my mother was like, how much do you weigh? I said, I have no idea. I don't get on the scale. I don't care. Other than, I get weighed at the doctor's once a year, so I'll hear it then, but I don't care. It's like, how do my clothes fit and how do I feel? That just blows many women's minds away. They just can't believe I have no idea how much I weigh.
Yeah. So you did Lion for a month. Just to be clear on the timeline, when did you start carnivore?
Carnivore March of 22.
March of 22.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm coming up on my 2-year.
Yeah. And so day to day, how are you eating at the moment?
So mostly for me, it's, of course, now I'm added in this yogurt in the morning. So I actually let that, it's only a quarter cup, but that's just plenty for a breakfast. I don't really normally like to eat until noon or 1. And then it's more of a snack. It's usually, I could be, if I have leftovers, that's really what it is. Usually leftovers. Like yesterday I had leftover pork belly, and it was about 4 or 5 cubes that we had cubed up, or just roast beef or whatever it is that we had the night before, and I'll just eat it cold. And then at night, then we mostly have steak at my insistence. And then we'll usually, we just actually tried a ribeye round roast that we bought because it was really inexpensive at home. And my son has lent me his sous vide. So we did that. And it was tasteless. It was fine, totally edible, but It was like after having ribeye all the time, I was just like, it's just the two of us. And I know a lot of people say ribeye is out. I mean, we don't have it every night, but I'd say we have it 3 or 4 times a week. We can do it because there's a store here called US Chef, and we can get it for $8 or $9 a pound and cut up this big old roast. So, and then we freeze it. We also bought a quarter of a cow a little over a year ago. And so that helped us. And so mostly beef. I would say 90% beef at night, dinner time. But I do eat when I'm hungry. So if I'm hungry at noon or whatever, I will get something. Sometimes I'm hungry at 10 in the morning. John will make eggs and bacon. So I eat within the realm. And I do eat deli meat. Like I'll eat salami. I know they say not to, but I do eat it. So when I did the Lion diet, I really paid attention to the fact that, okay, I'm not having any other spices, because we do spice with garlic and onion salt, or onion, not salt. And I paid attention to not having those things, and then the first meal I had after that had those seasonings, I didn't notice any difference in my body. I'm very sensitive, so I really can pick up on, even if I'm in denial, I can pick up on when something is bothering me for the most part. And I haven't had any negative effects from those things. I forgot to mention, when I first started, I had a lot of histamine reactions, and I even laugh because I can't remember how I figured it out, but I was having these tachycardia incidences, and I would have them prior to carnivore when I drank. That I would be fine, and then I'd go to bed, and then I'd get this tachycardia, and I actually have this little feeling that gets tight in my chest, so I know it's coming on, and I figured out it was histamines, and I started the DAO. Don't ask me what that stands for, but it's the enzyme that breaks down histamines. So I started taking those, and they are amazing. And that's how I know it's histamines, because as soon as I take one, within 30 minutes, the tachycardia is gone. And I've just discovered this last year, because we've had to take a couple trips by plane that were intense for me. And each of those times I got tachycardia, I got histamine reactions eating within my range of food. So I think traveling's stressful for me. So I think when I'm really stressed, I'll get mild histamine reactions. And again, thank goodness I travel with my supplements, and I had my DAO, so that took care of it. But I now know I won't travel without it. Even if I go a year, I'll always have some on hand. So that was, I didn't tell anybody about it, because I didn't want to hear, oh my God, it's the meat, it's killing you, it's causing that. It's like, I didn't tell anybody.
So your family is kind of like, what's going on?
Well, since it's been almost 2 years, they honor what I'm doing. My daughter, who's done keto, she's matter of fact, she's the one who sat me down one day and tried to show me keto. And it was when she showed me her app and the macros and all that, I went, I do not want to do this. And so she's done keto, but when I went carnivore, she's very knowingly told me that, this is not sustainable. You need vegetables. I'm like, okay. How I knew that wasn't true, I don't know, because I like vegetables, but there was just this innate part of me. My husband, over the years, because if he wanted it to happen, he would have made it happen, but he kept saying, we need to go vegan, we need to go vegan. You'd hear the story, let's try vegan. And I said, if you cook the food, I'll eat it, but I am a carnivore. Before I ever knew what carnivore diet was, I knew I was a carnivore. So this story of just eating meat felt absolutely intuitively, innately correct. Weird to do, because everybody else tells you you're wrong, but weird intellectually. But as soon as my body started doing that, it was like, good, this is perfect. Yeah.
So I'm interested to know, like, when you did do that month of lion diet, you said that you didn't, once you stopped doing it, you went back to eating just carnivore. You didn't really notice much of a change.
I didn't.
Did you notice anything going into lion, like in the first few days, the first week,
Like
like you felt more
having
satiated or you felt better or anything?
no, that's what was surprising to me. I mean, I will say, Dave, that there was an edge, a positive edge to it. There was more of a like I didn't feel more energetic, but I think there was a more of a mood stabilization, like just felt a
Mm,
little bit calmer. Um, I do want to say it was a little more positive, but it just wasn't enough for me to go, oh, like carnivore was like, oh, this is I got to stick with this. And I
mm,
and I and I think too, if it had been significant, that's really what this is. The lion diet is boring. Even Michaela admits that. I want to be able to eat a little bit more, you know, in or out in the range of carnivore, because she does it because she knows that's what's going to keep her well. And so I needed to get a little bit more whatever to feel like I can sustain this boring way of eating, because it feels boring to just eat meat and salt or beef and salt. Not, I mean, I could eat that 60 no, I probably eat that 75% of the time. But it is nice to have chicken or shrimp or fish or, those egg and bacon. It keeps you, the thing that I noticed by being able to be basically all carnivore, including dairy here and there, is you can go almost anywhere now. I mean, we even went to a Japanese restaurant the other night. We went to a hibachi place, and granted, the sauce probably wasn't good that we had, we no sugar, but they had the soy sauce and stuff. But we were able to eat that, and I could have sashimi, and I didn't have sushi, but I had sashimi, which was delightful. So it's like I can go out with my family and have food and have anything, have those foods and feel like you're part of it. Cause I think that's probably everybody's thing, is to integrate socially with your family. Um, and so that helps a lot for me to be able to say, oh, I can go out. I mean, literally, we probably go out 4 times a year, but we could go out and have a family meal, and it's, if it's a little bit on the edge of, you're going to get some seed oils, and you just know that you just have to assume that everything has seed oils. So for me, I look at what is available and know I want to have less, and ask for butter if that's appropriate. It wasn't appropriate at the Japanese restaurant, but if I go out, ask if my eggs can be cooked in butter and stuff. So yeah.
It's important, right? Just to have the knowledge that that's happening, because it is everywhere, and unless you really realize the bad or inappropriate way that it's produced, then you're not even thinking about it.
You're so right. And I think about it now, it's like, it's kind of funny that there's an ick factor that happens to me when I see anything, like if I'm not eating it and I watch, like they're going to cook something and they take that plastic bottle and ketchup type thing and put the oil on there, and I go, ugh, it's interesting how I just, and yet I see the fat on meat or whatever and all that tallow and lard, but it's so amazing to have your brain flip and go, yeah. And deeply, innately, I never used to look at those seed oils. I didn't think they were bad, but I never used to look at them and feel the way I feel about looking at real fat now, saturated, healthy fat.
Mm.
There's just some sort of heart connection to it, a good one, a good heart connection.
What I've noticed as well is that after seed oils have been used for frying, for me, it's got that I never noticed before. It's got a very, very distinctive, off-putting smell.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I've always had a hard time. Like I loved chicken the most before I became a full carnivore. And now I don't. I mean, I like chicken, okay, but I don't love it like I used to love it. And I noticed that though, I'd go to a restaurant and I almost never had chicken in a restaurant because I had an off-putting smell. And now I notice that with everything. You're so right. It's like you can, or it tastes weird. Like, oh, yeah. Yeah, there's not that. And don't you also agree the texture, the feel in your mouth isn't the same?
Yeah, I think I could be wrong because you can't always find out about this. But if I go out and eat, no matter what it is, whether it's steak or whether it's bacon or eggs or whatever it is, when it's been cooked in seed oils, I feel like, yeah, this doesn't taste right.
That I think you may be right on to that. Yeah, and actually, one of the things I do these days is I usually order my eggs poached because then I know it's cooked in water.
Actually,
So
that's a really good idea.
yeah, and I love poached eggs. It's like, why not? so, yeah. So that's one of the cut it out. And then usually, I mean, I used to work as when I was very young, I used to work in restaurants. So I know that bacon is just cooked on the grill. Now, granted, there's residual whatever, but they scrape off the grill. And so bacon is probably pretty okay. So if you get bacon and poached eggs, you're probably minimizing your seed oil exposure pretty well. And yeah, but every now and then there's this one particular restaurant we go to that has the most wonderful scramble, and then we get a hollandaise sauce on the side. Oh, so probably once or twice a year if we go there, I go for the scramble because it's so good. But yeah, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere, and that's the part that I am different in that as I've watched people in the nourishing traditions world and the paleo world, and everybody is so excited about the way they're eating, even the vegan world, and they want to get everybody on board. They believe that everyone should eat that way. And not that, I mean, they do, that's what everybody wants. But I just realized that I just wish people would play around with, the people I have talked to encourages, and mostly young people, is like, look, you just do it 30 days. Even if you think it'll kill you, even if you think it's bad for you, give it 30 days and see what happens. And if you don't notice anything, okay, but most of the people in my world and family, it's almost like they don't mind that I do what I do, but they don't take it in, and it's almost like I'm not a carnivore. They just pretend that I'm not a carnivore, and they'll oftentimes, oh, do you want this or that? Because they forget I'm a carnivore, because they just don't want to go there. They don't. Yeah. It's really one of the things I've not heard people talk about. I am going to ask you this question. When you visit, like you go visit family and you're visiting your non-carnivore family, do you have a way of being able to stay within your carnivore lane and not insult them? Or I think we should do a whole podcast on that, on how people handle that. Because we have the right kind of family that we literally say, look, don't cook for us. We'll go to the store and get our own food. And then we usually get steaks and share with them because they eat steaks. So, and then they make their potatoes and their stuff on the side. But what do you do? I'm curious.
So I'm lucky. My parents, I've converted them to carnivore. So, but before, I was always on and off keto or Atkins or something. And so whenever I'd go and visit, they always kind of knew, he's just doing his own thing. Let's just leave him.
Okay.
But like if I go to parents-in-law's house or something like that, I just say it's allergies. Same as I would in a restaurant, because when it's an allergy, like they'll go, okay, well, I need to back off. I can't push this, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's a great.
The interesting thing I find, right, is if you go to someone's house and let's say you're a smoker You go to someone's house and they offer you a cigarette, and you say, "Look, I'm trying to give up. I don't want one." They'll leave you alone.
You're right.
If you go to someone's house and they offer you a drink and you say, "Look, I've realized I'm alcoholic. I'm giving up," they'll leave you alone. They'll respect that.
Mhm.
But if you say to someone, "Look, I'm addicted to carbohydrate. I'm addicted to sugar. I don't want a piece of cake," they'll go, "Come on, have
Right.
the cake."
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
bite. That's all you have.
Yeah.
That's all you
It's not
need.
good. It's no fun anymore.
Exactly. And we know that's just their own food addicted self talking, and they can't, I know for a fact that especially my daughter, I know they look at me and say, good on you. She never has said again that not eating vegetables is bad. So that's good. But I know they see the results. I've taken off the weight. Unfortunately, to them, that's the part that means a lot, is that I've taken off this weight, because I've had this weight on since the late 90s. So, it's like, wow, after all this time. Matter of fact, my daughter used to say to me, Mom, it's just because of your age. And even when she said that and I couldn't lose weight, it used to piss me off, because I said that it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with whatever's going on in my body, but I do not accept that. And so now she's been proven wrong. But yeah, so I appreciate that allergy thing. And it's like, just like I went into the pharmacy the other day and ordered those continuous glucose monitors like we can do here in the US. You get it online, and so I'm going there, and I'm asking how much it is, because I'm a little bit nervous about it might be too pricey. And the pharmacist came over and talked to me, and he's like, well, why don't you get it for free with your insurance? And I said, because I'm not a diabetic taking insulin. That's what they require. And I said, but I'm pre-diabetic. That's what I said. So I want to just watch what food does. I'm not pre-diabetic. But that satisfied him. Like, oh, okay, you just want to monitor your food. And yeah, he had to hear that to go, oh, okay. He still would have gave it to me, but I didn't get the weird side eye from, wanting to monitor my glucose. And it's just something I haven't done that I would like to see, if I eat an egg, or if I eat even the yogurt, is that going to change? So yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned people should just try it for 30 days. If someone is on the fence about this, what is going to push them over the fence? It sounds a
Right?
bit bad. It sounds like you're going to do a face plant.
Yeah. No, I know.
But
Like, how can you? I haven't met anyone yet, not me, and I'll be honest, because I'm pretty much, I do get out, but not a lot. So and with my family, I intuitively feel like they're just healthy and young and healthy enough that they don't have the issues that they, want to take care of. Matter of fact, my son, I started making this yogurt for him, and they eat in the healthiest sort of nourishing tradition sort of way. So I give them credit, they do eat organic and stuff. So they're not, uh, yeah, they're doing okay in that respect. So when I started to make the yogurt for him, I said, this could help this or this. And my son went into total, oh, I'm fine. My sleep is great. This is good. I mean, I can see that there are things that are shifting a little bit, but he doesn't. I remember being that way at 40. I remember being like that. When my naturopath said, you need to quit eating wheat, I was like, oh no, I quit for 2 weeks and it didn't do anything. Well, after I did it the next time for 4 months and then had some wheat, oh yeah. What a difference. Yeah, that was one thing that I would go in and out of sugar, but I never got back on wheat. Wheat was one easy thing to quit once I quit it, because I knew that was, of all the grains out there, that was a killer for me. I heard one of the ladies that you were interviewing the other day said the same thing. When she got off gluten, that was the beginning of her. But it wasn't enough for me. It was just, but it helped. I often wonder if I wouldn't have started having problems earlier if I hadn't stopped eating wheat. So, yeah.
yeah, it's definitely worth just giving the stuff away for 30, 60, 90 days, right? And
I think 90 is better. I mean, but I always say 30, especially to young people, because 90 days to them is forever. And almost anybody, I mean, any female you talk to, unfortunately, can do anything for 30 days that, except for maybe starving themselves to death. But they, the old grapefruit diets or the cabbage soup diet. I never did any of that, but I heard about every single one. And people would do it. Oh God, what was the other one? There was some sort of master fast, where you drank lemon juice and maple syrup. It was called the Master Fast. And yeah, everybody would lose weight. And also, oh God knows what they did to their glucose. And all that stuff I knew was like, no, your body needs to have its nourishment. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Karin, if people want to reach out to you, do you have a Facebook or a YouTube or anything?
I have a Facebook, but it's just that personalized. I don't post to it. So I really, it's funny. I thought about YouTube for a while, and who knows, maybe if I do regenerative medicine, I might get on and talk about carnivore and that starts something. I'll shoot you an email, but not at this point. Yeah. I just watch all you guys.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you, and I'll continue watching all of your interviews. You're just a fantastic influencer. So thank you.